As the Central National Holstein Show gets underway, it's my pleasure on behalf of the officers and directors of the World Dairy Expo to welcome you to the 22nd edition. This was started back in 1967, has grown each year, not only in attendance, but I'm sure that you know that the quality of cattle seems to improve each year as well. Good morning, everyone. My name is Arthur Nesbitt, and I'll be making the announcements here at ringside today. The official judge is Bertram Stewart, Airway Holsteins, Hornsby, Ontario. He has judged the Holstein Show as well as other national shows here in the Coliseum in the past, and we welcome Mr. Stewart to the 1988 show. The associate judge comes from Merced, California, George Nunes and Marcrest Farm, and he will be the associate judge at this year's event. In the ring, it's class number 742, the 3- and 4-year-old dry cow class. They were born between September 1, 1983 and August 31, 1985. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
Good afternoon, everybody. A nice class to start your show, and not the easiest class to line up, but I've started with this tall cow that to me either has to be first or down the class 3 or 4. And when we look at the entire class, she outlines the height, the length, the stretch, and the openness to me to head this class. She's got a little more openness than this other cow, the second cow, a cow that hasn't had a calf for a while and probably is still 3 or 4 months away from having a calf, but a cow that to me is just lacks the dairiness that we have with a cow ahead of her. Second cow places over the third cow, has a little more strength through her front end, and to me is more correct on the left side of her udder than our real nice dairy, well-balanced cow in third. Third cow, quite an advantage through her loin, a cow that's not as large as the cow in fourth, but is more correct through her loin and does walk more correctly on her rear legs than the big cow in fourth. Again, a cow that actually today she stands more correctly than she walks. She's pulling her loin, but she does have a little more openness and angularity.
The next class will be class number 744, the 5-year-old and over dry cow class. And the trophy is presented by the South Dakota Holstein Association. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
Another good class, and we've got cows, as you can see, in different stages, different shapes. And as you see these two cows going out, certainly you have to admire them for their frames, their height and their length, and certainly very, very correct in their top lines. Today we're giving the top cow an advantage. She's got a little more maturity to her, a little more ribbing to her, also a little more correct in front teat placement than our younger cow here following out. Second cow places over the third cow primarily on the strength of her loin and the way she's handling her rear legs. We would grant the cow in third, probably the best dry udder in the entire class, but a cow that we would like to see moving a little more correctly on her rear legs and just carrying her loin a little better. She places over the next cow primarily on that tremendous dry udder, and we do have a nice cow in fourth here. She's 9 years old, and she's certainly one of the oldest cows in the class.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like you to turn your attention to the ring, for this has been a tradition to present the Clusen Award, and this year we'll be naming the 1988 Clusen winner very shortly. This is a coveted award, and it's awarded to cattlemen and any of the dairy breeds who excel in endeavor, ability, and sportsmanship. At the annual meeting of the Clusen Association yesterday, the 1988 winner was selected, and his name will be announced in a few minutes. But before making this announcement, we would like you to meet 18 of the 30 living Clusen winners who are here today. Before naming the 1988 Clusen Trophy winner, the association has named another honorary member. That person is Dr. James W. Crowley, one of the key persons in planning the World Dairy Expo and a highly capable dairy cattle superintendent of the World Dairy Expo for the past 20 years. Let's give a round of applause for our good friend, Dr. James Crowley. And now for the 1988 winner. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1988 winner from Dorchester, Ontario, Canada, is Kenneth R. Empey, Jr. While he's making his way to the center of the ring, we'd like to tell you that Ken has worked with Pinehurst, Hanover Hill, and Hilltop Hanover Holstein show herds. He has now developed his own herd and has an extremely attractive exhibit here at the World Dairy Expo. He has helped to select, fit, and sell animals for some of the top sale management firms in the industry. Let's give a big hand to Ken Empey. Judge Stewart has completed the class. This is the spring heifer calf class. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
A beautiful class of March heifer calves, and when we look at this top group, certainly we should be able to think of these top heifers coming back and making real outstanding junior yearlings next year. And to lead the class off, a calf to me that is quite exceptional. To me, a calf that walks away with the class very easy. Very, very correct in her total conformation. She's tall, she's long, she's feminine. She's got about all the things going for her that we should have in a calf today. Has a little more breed character just through her head than the first calf or the second calf. She's also handling a little better than the second calf. The second calf's just not going all the time, but a calf that when you get behind her is very sharp through her shoulder region, a little sharper through her withers, a little more correct through her withers than our deeper bodied calf in third. Third calf I like very much for her ribbing, her dairiness, and I give her an advantage over the fourth calf, the way she moves on her feet and legs, especially her feet. Fourth calf, a beautiful bodied calf, has an advantage in length probably over the calf ahead of her, but I'd like to change the way she's walking on her rear legs today.
Coming in the ring now will be the winter heifer calf class. The trophy will be presented by the Wisconsin Holstein Association. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
Another beautiful class, and certainly when we look at this top dozen calves here, we have to be doing something right to get calves out here with as much strength and as much correctness as we have. The calf that I started the class with, she's not without fault, but I don't think there's any other place we can put her. A heifer that's tremendous through her for her ribbing, tremendous for her dairiness, and if we were going to be super critical, we'd like to change her just a little bit about her hips, lower her pins a little bit, maybe raise her in her loin, but a calf that when you look at her from the side, she's just tremendous for size and stature. And to me, she walks a little more correctly than this very stylish calf in second. Second calf, long-bodied calf as well, and I place her over the calf in third. She's just got a little more extension through her front end. She's a little tighter knit about her shoulder than this calf in third that I like very much for her balance, her dairiness, her openness of ribbing, and certainly a calf that tracks out very, very well. Third calf to me is just a little more ribbing to her, a little more length of both fore and rear rib than another well-balanced calf in fourth. Fourth calf's got more extension through her front end. Her head comes out of her neck a little more on the right angle than this calf in fifth. Fifth, sixth, and seventh I think are very, very close. I left them the way they are.
now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
A beautiful class and great heifers a long way down in this class. But at the top of the class, we've got a pair of heifers here to me that certainly are very correct in their total conformation. And as we analyze them closer, to me, we've got a little more angularity, a little more dairiness, and a heifer that's got a little nicer set to her hock than this very well blended red heifer here in second. Certainly we have to admire the balance, overall balance of this red heifer here, and to me she's got an advantage through her front end, through her shoulder area. She's also got a little nicer about her crop region than the taller calf we have in third. Third calf has quite an advantage in her head and neck area, quite a bit more character through her front end. Then we get back to one of the nicest bodied calves in the entire class. She places over the next heifer because she's sharper of her shoulder, a little nicer through her pin setting than this very nicely balanced calf, the white calf coming out next.
Next will be class number 734, the Summer Yearling Heifer class. The trophy and the class coming in the ring is sponsored by the Columbia County Holstein Breeders Association here in Wisconsin. Judge Stewart has just completed 734. Class 734 is a Summer Yearling Heifer class. Now for the reasons on the class, Bert Stewart.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving the reasons in this particular class, and I've had the privilege of lining up the top end of the classes. Bert is involved in one of the heifers in the lineup. This heifer that I'm starting the class with is a heifer that excels the others in class, I feel, in her stature and length of body. Certainly a heifer that shows more openness of rib than the others on down the line, and a heifer when viewed from the rear tracks so much more correctly on her feet and legs. If we had to criticize this heifer in first here this afternoon, I'd just like to tighten her up in the shoulder just a smidgen, but certainly a very tall, long, leggy kind of a heifer. Second over the heifer in third, a heifer that I moved up in class, heifer that just has more upstandingness, certainly more spring of rib in both fore and rear rib, is wider in the chest floor, and tracks much more desirably on her front legs as you view the heifer in third. The heifer in third, we admire her style and symmetry from the side as she moves about the ring. And a heifer that I tried at the top of the class because of the style and symmetry and balance that she possesses, but certainly not enough width of body as I saw her to go any higher in class. She fits nicely into the third spot, however, because she is a heifer up through the shoulder, somewhat taller at the shoulder, a heifer that has more length of body compared to the heifer in fourth. Fourth heifer over the heifer in fifth. Again, a heifer that shows more dariness from end to end than the heifer in fifth.
for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
A lovely class, and I'd be happy taking home heifers that are a long way down on this class, and I'm sure some of these heifers have placed very, very high at some of their state shows, and rightly they should. But at the top of the class, we've got a group here that to me are really the kind of heifers we like, and I've started the class with a tall, long-bodied heifer that's very angular, very sharp, and very correct down through her top line, and just has a little more extension throughout than the heifer in second. Second and third heifers are both very much alike, very well balanced, and with lots of strength and angularity to them. I like just a little more roominess in the second heifer over our third heifer. Third heifer, we moved these two heifers ahead of this big, long-bodied heifer. At one time, we thought the fourth heifer would fit nicely in second, but she just has problems when she stops. She tends to fall apart. At times, she looks tremendous and probably belongs in second some of the time. But today, we couldn't get her to suit us that way, and we decided that we'd move these two well-balanced heifers ahead of her. Third heifer has more balance, as I said, than the big heifer in fourth. Fourth heifer, you have to admire for her overall frame, tremendous amount of ribbing to her.
The judges have completed the class. In this class, the trophy is presented by the Dane County Holstein Breeders Association. And now for the reasons on the class.
Another real fine class, and I've started the class with two heifers that I think are very much alike. I like the length on this top heifer. She's got a little more length of rump, a little more total length from tip of her nose throughout her whole body than a very correct heifer in second. Second heifer has an advantage over the third heifer for me, that she's so much sharper through her shoulder, so much more correct inner shoulder structure than the big heifer in third. From the side, you certainly have to like the third heifer very much, but when I stand behind her, I'd like to change her through her shoulder area before I can move her to the top of the class. She easily places over the next heifer because of that excess, or that extra ribbing. She's got a little more angle to her rib and openness to her rib than this long-bodied heifer in fourth. Fourth heifer has an advantage when you stand behind them. She is a little sharper. She has no advantage in rib structure, but she has a little advantage in angularity.
Coming in on the far side of the ring now is the final heifer class of the afternoon, and it's class number 737. Dodge County Holstein Breeders will provide the trophy in this class coming into the ring. Judge Stewart has completed the fall yearling heifer class number 737. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Bert Stewart. Bert?
Another good class, and I've started the class, what I think, with a heifer that has just a little added height, a little added overall maturity, a heifer to me that just has a little more openness to her than a very smooth heifer here in second place. Second, a heifer that shows a little more style on the walk than our big, powerful heifer in third. Just a little, I know she's not as large as the heifer in third, but she just moves out a little more correctly on her rear legs than does this powerful heifer in third. Third, fourth, and fifth, I think, are very close, but the third heifer's got a tremendous amount of stature through her front end, a tremendous amount of development through her front end, has an advantage over the next pair of heifers on that situation. I do like the leg structure on our fourth heifer a little better than the heifer in third, but we do have just a little more total development and a little more width to chest, fore-rib on our third heifer here. Third has straighter her top, a little more correct through her loin, a little nicer just about her pins than another very stylish heifer in fifth. Fifth heifer's got a little more flank. Again, she's not quite as tall as the heifer behind her.
I'd like to announce that we'll have the selection of the junior champion female and the reserve junior champion female next. Here are the candidates for the junior champion, reserve junior champion of the show. It'd be a good time to show how much you appreciate these fine cattle.
Ladies and gentlemen, for junior champion, I think the calf here is the closest to perfection. She's got the balance, the dairiness, the strength that I like. She's a little wider at her pins. She's just a little more totally complete than this extreme tall March junior yearling. Little advantage through her width, through her rump area, and I just think she's a very, very well balanced heifer, and I just think this September heifer calf is about the way we need to have him made. And I'm going to the junior yearling over the big senior yearling on dairiness, angularity, just a little more feminine look to her today than a very, very powerful heifer. But I think three outstanding heifers. Thank you. In this junior best three, I'll go ahead and give my reasons. I'm going with a little more maturity and development. We've got three heifers here that all place in the top 10. We've got a second prize junior yearling and a third prize senior yearling, and the winter yearling was in the top 10 as well. And they've got a little more total uniformity and development than this next group that's got a winner and a third prize junior yearling and a calf that also was in the top 10. So we got high placing heifers here.
Coming in the ring now is the junior bull calf class. Illinois Holstein Association will present the award to the first place winner. Now for the reasons on the class.
We have three nice bulls here at the top of this class, and as we look at them, we've got quite a bit more angularity, quite a bit more just total correctness, and especially in the way the two bulls travel, we give the top bull quite an advantage the way he walks on his rear legs. Second over third, the second bull has quite an advantage in breed character through the head. Also, he's longer and leaner about his neck and a little more dairy throughout than the big white calf here in second. We just like to clean him up a little bit, especially around the head and through his thighs. However, he does have good conformation and enough strength and masculinity to place over the next bull in fourth. And the fourth bull is more correct through his shoulder area and tighter in his crops than the big bull in fifth.
Class coming in the ring is senior bull calf class. Indiana Holstein Association will be making the award. Now for the reasons on the class. Bert?
A nice pair of bulls to start this class, and when we analyze them close to me, I think quite a handy winner. A bull that's got a lot more breed character through his front end, a little more total balance of frame and masculinity. I like the turn of his rib more correctly than this deep white bull coming out here in second place. Second bull, a very good bull as well. He's got a lot of masculinity and strength to him, and it is quite a handy placing over the third bull. He's higher in his front end. He is more masculine through his front than the bull in third. I'd just like to take a little bit of his middle piece out of him to make him a real contender for the top spot.
Entering the ring now is the junior yearling bull class. The first place award will be presented by Elgin View Farms of Arlington, Minnesota. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
Nice pair of bulls here at the top of the class, and we thought there was a rather close placing, but we went with a bull that's a little longer here and a bull that's just moving a little freer on his rear legs today than the well-balanced bull in second. The second bull is much more correct through his crop area, and he's just more correct down through his top line and more correct on width of chest too, and second over third. Third is much more correct through his shoulder, tighter about his crops than the big bull in fourth.
In the senior yearling bull class, the trophy is presented by Pinehurst Farms at Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
A nice class and a nice pair of bulls here at the top. Pair of bulls that quite a bit the same. I'm giving the bull on top an advantage in overall dariness today, a little advantage in length through his front end, a little advantage in breed character as you view them through the head area. Not a lot to choose in feet and legs on these two bulls. I like the pastern on the second bull better than on the first, but I do like the hock structure on the first bull. He's a little freer of excess swelling there than our bull in second. Second bull handy places over the third bull because of his overall development. He's got more width through his front end, more masculinity through his body than our dairy bull coming out in third. And the third bull certainly is a handy placing over the next bull. He shows a lot more dairiness, a lot more angularity, a lot less crestiness through his front end than the big bull in fourth. To me, the most correct bull of the day is our winning bull calf, giving him an advantage the way he moves on his rear legs, and also advantage in hock structure. Close placing between reserve champion over our winning junior yearling, and I'm going to the senior yearling. I love his top line. I like the length of him. I think he's got an exceptional rump, a rump that I think is just about correct.
Now, Willard, there's one other weather condition that you need to think about. High water. Very high water. If that's the weather you're in, ladies and gentlemen, Willard Scott.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you. That's terrific. That's about my size, too, isn't it? I said, this is a perfect place for me to be. I couldn't be in a more appropriate spot, because I understand you have more cows than any place else in the whole world assembled under one roof here. And for every cow, you got to have a little bull, right? So here I am to provide you with what little I can offer this afternoon. And
Lot number 37 is, of course, a daughter of Starbuck. We are going to start with several Starbuck daughters here. Those of you who were at Pennsylvania last week, you know that Starbuck was, and rightly so, the premier sire at Harrisburg. He is one of the greats. This is one of his loveliest daughters.
All the style in the world, a beautiful heifer. I'm only bid $5,000 on her, $5,200. Bid $5,000, I'm going to give $5,200. I'm going to give $5,200. I'm going to give $52, $52. I'm going to get $2. Do you want her? Bid $5,000. I'm going to give $5,200. Out she goes. Time's up. Bid $5,000. I'm going to give $5,200. I'm going to give $5,200. Bid $5,000. I'm going to give $5,200. I'm going to give $52, $5,200. I'm going to give $52. Do you want them tonight? Sold her $5,000.
quite a family. Lot 48.
Yes, it is a great family indeed. And how much for number 48? And we're going to give four starter number to get 7,000 winner. How many dollars? Number to get 2,000. Number to get 3. I'm at 3,000. Number to get $4,000. Number to get 3. Number to get $4,000. Number to get 3. Number to get 4. Number to get 5,000. Number to get 5,000. Now 6. And now 7. Here now $8,000. Number to get 8. I'm at 7,000. Number to give $8,000. Number to get 7. Number to give 8. Now 9. Now 10. Now 11. At 10. Now 11. Here now $11,000 here. 11. And now 12. Number to get 13. 14. You want her. At $13,000. Number to get 14. Dave, you're out. At $13,000 on the air. Number 14. At 14.5. Number to get 15. You want her. Number 14.5. Number to get 15. A rare opportunity. It certainly is. 14.5. 15. 15. And I've sold her. 14.5.
Now 10, sir. 20,000, yes, 20,000. Now 20,500. 20,500, and I have sold about $20,000. See John Breeze.
There can't be a lot of you out there that feel this heifer's worth more money than what we got bid on her. But if you're all through, we're going to sell her. I got 3,700. 38. 38. You want her? Yes or no? 30. Yes. Now 9. At 38. Here, number 3,900. Number to get 9. Look at 9. Here, number 30. Number to get 9. Would say low. 38. 9. Now 9. Sold her. 3,800.
Lot number 26.
All right. Number to get 4. Starter to get 2,000. Number to get 3. At 2,000. Number to get $3,000 here. Number 2,000. Number to get 3,000. $2,100. Number to get 48. You want her? 8. Now $5,000 on a year. Number 5,000. Number to get 5. You got 5, bud? I got 48. Yes, 5 now. 51. I sold her 5,100.
This is a nice, young, raw-boned dairy cow that's got potential to become an excellent, a beautiful udder cow, a cow that's easy to work with. She happened to have calved up at our place, and we have worked with her. Her dam will finish over 1,000 of fat.
I got 23,000. Number to get 31. At 3,000. Number to get $3,100 here. Number 31. Number to get 32 here. Number 31. Number to get 2. Number to get 32. At 31. Number top. At $3,300 here. Number 34. Number to get 4. Number to get 30. 41. And I have sold her 3,300.
Should be lot number 26 due in next.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Please remain standing for the Canadian national anthem. As the Central National Holstein Show gets underway, it's my pleasure on behalf of the officers and directors of the World Dairy Expo to welcome you to the 22nd edition. The class in the ring at the present time is class number 751. It's a junior 2-year-old cow class, a mustive Friesian, born between March 1, 1986 and August 31, 1986. Reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
First of all, a good class to start the second day, and I have asked the top 7 to come back for after the milk out because I've made the 7th prize cow best udder in the class. I've started the class with 2 cows here that certainly are exceptional for body frame and size and stature, and to me this pair of cows belong together, and I've decided that I would place them this way. Primarily the fact that the first cow's got a little less udder than the second cow. I criticize the second cow a little bit for a little too much udder for a junior 2-year-old, but certainly you have to admire her for dariness. We've just got a little more correct top line in our first cow, rigid down through her loin area, more correct from her hips to pins than the big powerful cow in second. Second cow definitely has an advantage in overall frame over our third cow. Third cow I made second best udder, and I think she's got more the amount of udder that I like on a junior 2-year-old, and that's the reason that this heifer's up in third place. The day's getting late, and some of our showmen are wondering who is second best udder in this class, but we got it straightened out. The only change we made here in this class, we moved the best uddered heifer up 1 spot, and it's just, I mean, she does have a super udder, and it did milk out extremely well. We're not going to make any other changes. These cows milked out very acceptable, and certainly to me they're not nearly as great a cows as they are when they were full, but we have them out here, and I'm very happy the way they worked out. The same reasons apply that I gave earlier.
Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Bert Stewart.
A beautiful class, and I'm telling you, we've got good 2-year-olds a long, long, long way down in this class. I've started the class with 2 cows that are not as large as some of the cows in the class, but without a doubt, these 2 heifers have the best 2 udders in the class. When we analyze them and look at them from the side, we've got a little more width of chest, we've got a little more breed character through the front end, and to me, a heifer that walks a little more, just a little more flex to her hock than this super uddered heifer in second place. And I place the second heifer over the third heifer, a heifer that naturally you can see is not as tall as the third heifer, but she is higher and wider in her rear udder, and she shows more volume of udder today than our third heifer that's been milking almost a year, a heifer that I admire very, very much for her frame. She's long, she's tall, very angular, and certainly very correct and looks tremendous for a heifer that's almost a year in production. She places over the heifer in fourth. She's got that added dairiness, a little more open today than this recently fresh heifer in fourth. In this class, the only switch I'm making is in the udders, and certainly the top cow milked out a little more than the second cow. I would have been happy without the milk out and left the udders placed the way they were, because that's the way they looked. These 2-year-olds, it's very difficult to bring them back and get that perfect milk out when you extend their udders and try to make them look the way they should look to compete in their class. And we've got perfect evidence of that out here. A couple of these heifers are carrying a little swelling right now, and tomorrow it won't be with them, and you'll be very happy to see the udders look in their normal way. But when you're bagging 2-year-olds and getting them bagged and really extended, you're going to suffer a little bit sometimes in your milk out. And the only thing that I've done here is switch the top 2 udders, and they're both very, very outstanding udders, as I said this morning.
Entering the ring now is a 3-year-old cow class. 3-year-olds are born between September 1, 1984 and August 31, 1985. Judge Stewart has completed his placings. Now for the reasons on the class, Judge Bert Stewart.
Really a beautiful class, and again, we've got tremendous cows, probably cows that have been champion at their shows down many places in this class. I've started the class with a pair of cows that I think are very much alike. And I think these two cows belong together, and I think as we look at them close, I think the cow that's on top kind of just is put together a little more correctly, moves a little more correctly today, has an advantage in width throughout, a cow that outlines herself very well, and I give her a little advantage in teat placement today over our cow in second. Second cow to me has got more breed character through her front end, is more similar in type to the cow that I started the class with than the cow in third. She's also more correct from hip to pins than our cow in third. I grant the cow in third a little higher, wider rear udder, cow that's not as fresh as long as the cow that's ahead of her, but I do like the dariness, the openness, the style that we have here, and I do like the structure of from hip to pins on our second cow over our third cow. Third cow, a cow that I'd like to just change the way she moves on her rear legs a little bit, a cow that outlines very well, quite correct in her mammary, giving her an advantage, just a little more cow than the beautiful uddered cow in fourth, a little stronger in her loin than this red cow going out here that I made best udder, a cow that we just like to move her up a little bit in the air and make her a little taller to compete with those three cows ahead of her. I'm making no changes in this class, and I think these group of 3-year-olds have milked out just about the way you would expect them to milk out. We're happy with them, and I think you've got a very fine class. This morning the fourth cow was best udder. The winner was second best udder, and we'll leave them that way.
Okay, thank you, Bert. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to announce the placings in this class. Now for the reasons on the class. Judge Bert Stewart.
Another beautiful class, and a great bunch of cows here in the top dozen here to work with. Just a real pleasure to analyze a bunch of cows as good as we've got out here. And to me, the cow that's got the least things wrong with her in the entire class is the cow that leads the way. She's got the blending of parts, the straightness of top, and moves out with a lot more style today than does our second cow. Second cow, very much like our winning cow, big and powerful and straight over lines, has quite an advantage in pasterns, has quite an advantage in the way she handles her rear legs over the third cow that I made best udder in the class. Second cow, I also like her through her loin area a little more correctly, and I like the hips and pin area a little more correct on the second cow than I do the best uddered cow in the class. Best uddered cow places us over the next cow, cow that's got a little advantage in teat size, shape, especially the rear teats, and cow that has no advantage in body frame. I do admire the fourth cow excels the cow ahead of her through her loin area and her hips and pin area, but this udder carries her ahead of her today. Also, just a little nicer around her hock region than the cow in fourth. Fourth cow places over another real fine cow here on size, stature, just a little more total cow than a beautiful frame cow. Exceptional balance to her, real fine udder on her, just not as much cow as those four cows that are ahead of her. We're making no changes here. We're very happy the way this group of cows have come back, and I think it's quite evident to see that they've all milked out very well. Same reasons apply that I talked to you about this morning.
Okay, thank you, Bert. Judge Stewart has completed the class.
Another beautiful class of 5-year-olds, and certainly this group here at the top, we have to admire a lot of the cows. But as we analyze them close, this cow fits a pattern that I've been looking for, a cow that's very correct in her conformation, with strength and angularity, straightness of top, and a cow that to me has just most of the things going for her, especially when we compare her to the cow that's in second, another very, very correct cow, but just not as much cow. And I did make the second cow best udder, and I think it's a very, very close placing. You could argue this either way. I just like the positioning of the rear teats a little bit more correctly on the second cow over our first cow, but that's not taking anything away from the cow that's leading the class. The second cow places over the third cow. Certainly we can see that she's not as large. She is more correct in teat placement. She is more correct in center support of her udder, and has quite a definite advantage in the division of udder as we view it from the rear. Certainly a tremendous large cow here in third, a cow that you certainly have to admire for her size and stature, and she easily places over the next cow, a cow that just has more daringness throughout, also an advantage in the height and width of her rear udder. Again, this group of cows certainly milked out very well, and we're leaving them just as they are, starting this class. And as I said in the class, we said before that the udders are very, very close in the top two, and when they're milked out, they're still very close, but we're going to leave them the same as we had them.
The aged cow class coming in the ring, 6 years and older. And now for the reasons on the class, Judge Stewart.
A beautiful age cow class, and again, following the same pattern, we've got the cow here that's very correct in her conformation, and I made her second best udder in the class. A cow just a month fresh, and she certainly has the bloom and the angularity, and certainly the capacity in her udder today to place over the cow that's in second place. We have to admire the body conformation of our second cow, but we would like to see her carrying a little more milk. She's been milking 12 months, and it's difficult to have a 12-month cow in heavy bloom. But a cow that is very correct in her body conformation, has a little more forerib, has a little more correct way that she travels on her rear legs than a snugger uddered cow here in third spot. Third cow places over the fourth cow because of her height and her length. She's right now, she's just a little taller, a little more total cow than the best uddered cow in the class, the cow that's in fourth place. Fourth cow, very well balanced cow, and certainly more balanced in her udder for front to rear today than the cow in fifth, and it's more decided and quite evident on the left side more than on the right. Certainly the angularity and the dairiness of the next cow a little more open than the long-bodied cow coming out next, the 554 cow. Again, this group of age cows, and we've got cows ranging from 6 years old to 10 years old out here. I think we're very happy the way these cows have came back and milked out, and we're going to leave them just as we had them. We're going to do it a little different today. I have singled out the 7 cows that I think are exceptional in this show, and not taking anything away from the younger cows and the dry cows that we've got lined up down there. I'm going to ask George Nunes to select the fourth best cow of the show, and I would ask him at this time to go up and slap the fourth best cow of the show on the rump. We'll go on, and George is going to now select the third best cow of the show. I think we've got an outstanding group, and I'm going to go out and select the reserve champion and grand champion cows at this time.
Two outstanding cows left in the center of the ring. We think the championship is very close between the two cows that Bert is going to approach now. And the first cow he will approach is the reserve grand champion of the 1988 World Dairy Expo. And the grand champion I take it that we need say nothing more.
A beautiful show to judge and a beautiful group of cows. Thank you.
State herd is from Ontario, Canada. gentlemen, we're about to begin the pageant to select America's Supreme Champion. So the first cow in our parade of champions is all-Canadian, excellent Ayrshire Bonnie Bray Jade Primrose. She is owned and bred by Mode Brothers of Van Vliet Hill, Ontario, Canada. Primrose is escorted by Tom Barnes, also of Ontario. Coming in now is the Brown Swiss candidate for America's Supreme Champion. She's the grand champion of the Brown Swiss breed this year, and she's Lindale Convincer Elaine, classified excellent. The dam is Arwis MGP Convincer, and the sire Windmill Talisman Ellen. Owned and bred by Roland Twyla and Lauren Helsbush of Lindale Farm, Humphrey, Nebraska. Doing the honor as leadsman is Lauren Helsbush. Coming in the ring now is the Guernsey Grand Champion. Our 88 Grand Champion is certainly no stranger to the show ring or the winner's circle. 4-year-old Pendale Vivacious Glenna is classified excellent at 94 points. Glenna is owned by 15-year-old Emily Brandstetter of Edmond, Kentucky, and is led by her father, Fowler Brandstetter. Coming in the ring now is the Grand Champion Holstein from the 1988 show. And she comes from Canada and is classified at 93. Catherine Lilac is now entering. She's a 5-year-old. It's owned by John Buckley, G. Wilkham, G. Coughlin, Ken Impey, and C. Burrier. This animal is housed at Lindsay, Ontario, Canada, and is led by this year's Clusen winner, Ken Impey, Jr. Next in the parade is the Grand Champion Jersey and his Prime Minister Betty, the National Jersey Show Grand Champion, owned by Norman Nabholz of West Union, Iowa, and Mike Collins, Orland, Indiana. Collins Jersey, Orland, Indiana, bred this 5-year-old. Today, Betty is led by Holly Kimball of New Hampshire. Entering the ring, the spotlight now, is a 1988 milking shorthorn. She's Innisfail, Lobelia 72nd D, and a 3-year-old classified excellent. She is owned by Michael Reed of Pinehurst Farm, Daleville, Indiana. Shirley and Bill Harris of Widener Prairie Farms, Dalton City, Illinois, and the Huddlestons of Oak Farm, Albin, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, the ballots are in. The second runner-up is the 1988 Ayrshire Grand Champion. And the first runner-up is the 1988 Holstein Grand Champion. Receiving the roses, the Sidney Wanzer Trophy, is the 1988 Grand Champion Brown Swiss and America's Supreme Champion.